Flashback to the year 2009, 2010-ish, the prime Xbox arcade game days. Well, for me at least, with bangers like Peggle, I made a game with zombies in it, Trials HD, and yet another Zombie Defense. And that's just to name a few of the best ones I can remember playing at least. But color me surprised when I heard that the same people that made yet another Zombie Defense, one of those bangers that I enjoyed playing like 13 years ago, those same people happen to make a game in a modern genre that's quickly become one of my favorites. Of course, I'm talking about the bullet heaven, the survivor-like, the roguelike adjacent, well, hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. But whenever I found out, I just knew I had to get my hands on the game to play it. And as the greedy little chicken that I am, of course I had to try and get a free key before buying it myself. So, disclaimer, I did receive a free key for this game, but I was not paid or influenced in any way to make this review. Thanks to the devs, and also a big thanks to you for watching this video, and granting me the privilege of getting free games like this. Alright, on with the review. So I have a ton of experience with this genre at this point. I mean, I've played Vampire Survivors, of course. I've played the Potato Survivors. I've played the Diablo Survivors. I've played the frickin' VTuber Survivors at this point. And many others. Honestly, I might even try playing them all. I don't even know if that's physically possible, but today we're going to be talking about yet another Zombie Survivors. Which is kind of funny, because technically it is yet another Zombie Survivors, because I looked it up and there was this one that I found with just a quick search. Anyways, Yet Another Zombie Survivors launched into Steam Early Access on July 13th, 2023, for a retail price of $9.99, and is currently sitting at a very positive 90% out of about 4,000 reviews. So let's talk about the game and how I feel about some of its features. First up, what I guess you would say the main gimmick of the game is, and that's your squad of survivors. Currently, there are 6 survivors in the game with 3 more locked slots for future upcoming ones. Each survivor has their own unique weapons and abilities, and you can earn more by leveling them up. When you start a run, you select one of them to be the team leader, which gives you their unique leader perk, and then throughout the run you can get up to 2 more for a total of a 3-man zombie kill squad. Although the game doesn't have evolutions or weapon collabs like you would typically see in this genre, I think that the system is a pretty decent replacement. You have a fairly consistent way of getting the squad combo that you want, whether you want 3 members with longer range weapons or explosives or even a closer melee range kind of style. But I'd still love to see some unique combos across your squad, like say if you had the auto turret from the SWAT character and then the saw blade drones from the tank character, maybe you could have an upgrade for your turrets to get saw blades around it, or your drones to be little flying turrets themselves. I don't know, I'm not really a game designer, but overall I do think this is a fairly unique system. However, there's definitely some untapped potential here. Like many other games in the genre though, this game features an extensive meta progression system. During a run, you'll notice that at the top right there's a money threshold with a number, and essentially every time you collect enough cash the number goes up by 1, and that gives you 1 more point to spend in your upgrades menu. The upgrade menu has pretty much every stat you could think of: health, defense, fire rate, crit chance, crit damage, luck, so forth, so on, etc. The price per upgrade goes up as you spend more points and also as you go further down. However, farming cash in your runs is actually super straightforward. You don't even really need to try, and you don't even need to finish a run to earn the points. And if you do finish a run, you can easily earn upwards of 25 or more points depending on a few factors. The ways you can earn cash throughout your run are money orb drops from zombies, cash upgrades when you're maxed on weapons and abilities, choosing to free a survivor instead of adding them to your squad, or every time you get one when you're already full. And you also get extra money when you successfully survive a run. At least I think you do. Whenever you finish a run, you pick up all the orbs at the end, and I'm pretty sure I didn't have any cash orbs at the time, and I'll still get a bunch of extra cash, but I don't know, that might just be a coincidence. In general though, I found the system to be much less grindy than most others, albeit a little simplistic. The next thing I want to talk about briefly is the bosses. I would say that bosses are a bit of a hit and a miss. Some of the bosses have well designed attacks and patterns and are a decent change of pace compared to the normal zombies. But there are several ones like the Butcher that's kinda just a regular zombie. It just runs at you, but it has way more health and just whacks you with an axe. It seems a bit uninspired and basic, but I would say that especially the new zombies that were added in the latest 0.3 patch are a huge improvement, and I'm looking forward to seeing the ones that they add even further down the road. Now let's talk about the first major issue I have with the game: the performance. Although this has gotten a little bit better over time with a few crucial bug fixes, for the first several minutes, maybe even half of a run, your frame rate's fine, pretty much a constant stable 144 that I have it locked to. But after a while, the further you go, the frame rate slowly drops lower and lower as the game spawns more and more zombies. By the end of a 20-minute run, at the most hectic point, my frames can dip as low as 40, which is still playable for sure, but it's far from desirable for me. I'm not sure if this is an issue with the game or just the genre of game, but it is what it is. If you're on lower hardware or don't mind blurring the hell out of your game, you can turn on FSR, but even after the improvement to it from recent patches, I find it to be really bad. But considering the type of game it is with this many enemy spawns and the graphics are a bit above average, I would say this isn't that big of a deal. However, the biggest problem preventing me from outright recommending the game hands down is its price. In a situation where most of the good, or in some cases better games in this genre, are a standard price of $5, the MSRP of $10 is extremely steep. But of course in today's gaming climate, where you're starting to spend $70 for a game, $100 for 5 days of early access, pre-order bonus, $10 for a game with this much replayability is honestly a steal, so take this con with a grain of salt. In conclusion though, I'd say that most of the features are already in a solid state, and if you don't mind the cons I mentioned, or you absolutely love playing all these survivor-likes as much as I do, then I would recommend Yet Another Zombie Survivors, even in its current early access state. It might be a little rough around the edges and lacking content at the moment, but considering what's already in the game as of patch 0.3, I think you could argue it's worth it. And if you don't want to buy in this early, then keep an eye on it, as there's still a load of content to come for sure. Personally, I would have liked to see this game launch at a lower price and then maybe increase it when it hit full release, but it is what it is. If you want my definitive 100% factual, no bias, no cap tier list for survivor likes, it currently looks something like this. I have videos on some of these games with varying levels of quality, I'll admit. Maybe one day I'll remake some of them. But I'll try and keep this image as accurate and up to date as I can, so if you're interested in these types of games, pretty much the first 2 rows are ones that I recommend buying. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any feedback for my reviews, I'd love to hear it, as I'm constantly trying to improve these videos bit by bit. I have another review that I'm working on that I might try and get out by next week-ish, so stay tuned for that one, and yeah, goodbye.